We've had accelerated activity, numerous multiple UFO sightings, displays in effect for people, sometimes hundreds of people at once, and increased global communications has made it very widely known around the planet. We get reports from remote villages in South Africa, from remote villages in Mongolia, from remote villages in India, from remote villages in the Arctic Circle. We know it's going on globally at an ever-increasing rate. This mission involved efforts to regenerate their species. And to do so, they needed reproductive material from humans. For one thing, it explained why these beings were taking sperm and ova and fetal implants from people. It also explained why there was an interest in the genetics that ran many generations of one family. They're on the downside of their evolution. They're devolving. They need new blood. They need new DNA. That's why they're here. Here is they're studying human sexuality. And by golly, it looks like they're studying human pleasure and pain responses as well.
When the victims are starting to be sacrificed, it's the scent of the blood. And they start shape-shifting at that point in time. And they can hardly wait to get to the blood. It's like they're addicted to the blood, and then the consumption of human flesh that follows. There are certain times when they will actually do a sacrifice, or there will have been someone doing a sacrifice and it's not happening fast enough for them. So they will step in and finish it themselves, because the sacrifice the ritual has to be gone through. It's sacrificially, ritualistically, it has to have been gone through. And they will step right in and just start tearing the throat out. And they're getting all this blood from the jugular vein at the same time. And that has happened when there are many there that are going to be sacrificed and they just can't wait. And tearing into the contents of the abdomen and stomach of a victim afterwards. During the rituals, it's much easier for them to hold their reptilian form. They can stay in that form. What it is that they have a hard time holding their human form.
You see that?
I see about 10 minutes ago there was one.
Yeah.
What is it, meteor?
Heaps of people on the street having a look up in the sky. This is David Attenborough.
And what we have here is what we believe to be an alien.
Memories are a strange thing. There are tangible memories that can be proven factually. There are suppressed memories, which are clouded recollections of actual events. Memories that are a mixture of real and unreal events. Memories based on imagination, and possibly most frightening of all, memories that have been intentionally programmed within the mind of a person, which might consist of anything between actual real experiences to entirely designer memories that have been inserted to cover up experiences that are far more stranger than fiction.
Yes, he said, Clark, I can say certain things, but there are things I cannot because we were all hushed up about our mission by NASA and the DOD to shut up and not talk about things or lose their retirement, or maybe worse. About my friend NASA astronaut and first NASCAR lunar rover car driver on the moon.
Okay.
He saw UFOs above the moon, and he saw crystal buildings.
Mind control is real big with the Illuminati right now. From one-on-one mind control, breaking the person down that way, or the chemicals in the air, or HAARP, H-A-A-R-P, and the frequencies, and the buzzing in your ears, bzzz, and all those radio towers. And there's all different ways they do that.
There are those who walk amongst us as human beings, but who are more than human beings. There are such things as gods, and they walk amongst us. They control our destiny. They control us through newspapers. They control us through money. And they control us through religion and spiritual confusion. And
about my friend NASA astronaut and first NASCAR lunar rover car driver on the moon.
Okay.
He saw UFOs above the moon, and he saw crystal buildings.
The reptilian stands between 7 and 8 feet tall, and as expected, has the look of a reptile. They too are erect standing bipeds. The head is slightly conical in shape and has 2 bony ridges riding from the brow across a back-sloping skull. There appears to be no bridge between the eyes. The nasal openings are at the end of a small flattened nose and are described as 2 small slits that slant upwards in a V formation. Small openings can be seen on the side of their heads, but no ears as such. The eyes contain vertically slit pupils with a flame or an orange-coloured surround. They have wide lipless mouths which contain various types of teeth, including fangs. Some have thin fleshy spines under their chin. Their skin is scaled, usually greenish-brown or light grey in colour, and hairless. The scales on their backs, thighs and upper arms are quite large, with hands, abdomen and face being covered with smaller scales, allowing more flexibility. Reptilians' bodies are lean and firm with powerful arms and legs, long arms and 3 fairly long fingers and an opposable thumb. The feet have 3 toes and 1 recessed 4th toe that is toward the back side of the ankle. Claws on the hands and feet are short and blunt.
Reptilians are an ancient race. They were actually a hybrid mix many billions of years ago, which came into a foundation of us not really understanding who and what they are. We still don't really understand the total mixing, but we believe that there's a centering of space that brings them through those who come from another outside energy connected to parallel worlds.
At the beginning of 1947, yet another expedition by the Admiral Explorer Richard Byrd arrived on Antarctic shores. It was a very strange expedition. Unlike his previous 3, this was one completely financed by the US Navy. Operation High Jump was his code name.
Under the command of Admiral Byrd, there was a powerful military squadron, an aircraft carrier, 12 super ships, a modern submarine, more than 20 airplanes and helicopters, and about 5,000 people on staff. You will agree, a strange team for a scientific expedition.
December 2nd, 1946. Before the start of the expedition, Admiral Byrd at a press conference said, "My expedition is military in nature," giving no further details. Admiral Byrd at a press conference said, "My expedition is military in nature," giving no further details.
The answer of January 1947, full-scale aerial reconnaissance began surveying the Antarctic region of Queen Island. It all went to plan for a few weeks. Tens of thousands of photos were taken. Suddenly, the inexplicable seemed to happen. The 6-month expedition terminated after only 2 months. Fleeing the Antarctic coast, it was a real fast retreat. They lost a destroyer, almost half their carrier-based aircraft. In dozens of sailors and officers took commission investigation. Members of the U.S. Congress, Admiral Byrd, said the following: "In the event of another war, America can be attacked by an enemy that has the ability to fly from pole to pole with incredible speed."
What made the Americans flee? In 1945, 18 months before Admiral Byrd's expedition began, 2 German submarines entered Maldeberry, port in Argentina, surrendering to authorities. These were no extraordinary submarines, they were from the so-called Führer convoy.
As this was a top-secret fleet missions, the details have remained a secret until now. The submarine crews were reluctant to cooperate. Even so, the Americans learned a few things. The commander of a U-boat, U-530, spoke of his involvement in Operation codenamed Vlagary 2 weeks before the war. And the U-boat, U-530, left the quay heading for the shores of Antarctica. And board of the submarine were passengers with faces covered in bandages, as well as the Third Reich relics. The commander of another U-boat, U-97, Heinz Schaefer, testified that he followed the same route. It was found that the German submarines repeatedly followed the Antarctic route. But why go there?
Antarctica. In 1820 it was discovered by 2 Russian explorers. Here are the names. Since then, this mysterious continent, bigger than Europe, continues to attract explorers like a magnet. However, the 10-meter high, sheer icy cliffs made the continent impregnable for many years. For almost a century, Antarctica remained unknown. Only coastlines were marked on the maps. Suddenly, this distant and useless icy continent aroused a strange interest in the Germans. Large funds were allocated for Antarctic study.
These identified flying objects don't only exist in form of glowing ball of some vague nature, but rather have a different ecological body. Americans have always been interested in the technological legacy of Germany. There is absolutely no doubt about this. Suddenly, the inexplicable cause, the expedition designed to last 6 months is quickly aborted after 2 months, leaving the Antarctic coast deserted. It was an actual retreat. In the late 1930s, 2 research expeditions were arranged. This happened just before the war. It was due to start. In January 1939, 2 catapult-controlled planes, the Passat and Boris, took off from the deck of the Schwarzbahn. They began patrolling Queen Maud. In 3 weeks, Luftwaffe pilots with metal pinions marked with swastikas managed to secure the Third Reich territory the size of Germany. It was called Yugoslavia. 1939, the experienced polar explorer Captain Alfred Richter wrote, "I've completed the mission entrusted to me by Air Marshal Göring. For the first time, German aircraft flew over the Antarctic continent. Every 25 kilometers, we dropped pendants covering an area of about 600,000 square kilometers, of which 355 square kilometers were photographed. Göring's flying aces had done their job. This unusual mission then passed the Führer seawalls, the U-boats, commanded by Admiral Karl Donitz. In secrecy, German U-boats set course to Earth's end, the icy Antarctic shores. Later, Karl Donitz led the strange phrase, 'My submarines have found a true paradise on Earth.' In 1943, at the peak of the war with Russia, Grand Admiral Donitz uttered another, no less mysterious phrase, 'The German submarines fleet is proud.' At the end At the other end of the world, we have made an impregnable city for a Führer. Back then, the Grand Admiral of the German naval fleet's words were only understood by a very small circle of insiders. Today, we only hypothesize what the Grand Admiral meant.
After the war, in Nazi secret archives, intriguing photos and drawings were discovered. They proved that German scientists were actually engaged in the development of disc-shaped aircrafts. At the time, nothing like this existed. How did Nazi scientists manage to make such a technological leap? Anunnaki Society, the most mysterious organization in the Third Reich. Even now the secret services of the leading powers hunt for its secrets. But why? It's simple. This was the only known historical structure engaged in the study of occult mysticism. To have state funding and support. An organization in the world that had at its disposal such a volume of data, or had such influence on the development of occult technology as the Anunnaki. Officially, the society was founded in 1935 and was intended to explore the historical roots of the German nation. Anunnaki, when translated, means legacy of the ancestors. However, society's scope of interest was broader than ancient German history study. Third Reich leaders understood an army's size wasn't necessary to win future wars. Nazi ideology was based on a theory that in the past there was a powerful knowledge was preserved. Specifically, they were tasked with reviving the superhuman in Germany in their role as ancient Aryan descendants. They were very interested in Atlantis. The scientists believed it the Aryan race's native home. Therefore, Germany was the rightful heir to Atlantean theological knowledge. Legend says it's where giant ships and flying vehicles were driven by an unknown force. The search for hidden knowledge to seek knowledge of the history of civilization. There's no doubt that Anunnaki members knew of an amazing map that was discovered by historians in 1929. The map was created in the early 16th century by a famous Turkish admiral. The shocking fact is the way the map's detail mirrors the real Antarctic coast. This was 300 years before the continent's official discovery. In this map notes, the admiral wrote that he drew it from numerous sources, some at least 3,000 years old. Well, the most puzzling thing was the coastline of Antarctica, which is shown without its ice cover. The map provokes the imagination even today. Here's a verdict of a U.S. Air Force specialist.
The coastline was plotted on this map before it was covered in ice. The thickness of ice in this area is about 1.5 kilometers. We do not have any suggestions how this data could have been obtained in 1513.
The international experts gave the map a thorough examination and concluded it was more precise than 20th century maps. Seismic analysis confirmed the fact which scientists until recently were unaware some of the mountains, once considered a single massif, proved in reality to be separate islands as stated on the old map. 70 years ago, one can imagine the impact of this map on the founders of the Aryan race theory. It brought hope to the search for the technological heritage of the Atlantis. One hypothesis states that Antarctica is the former Atlantis, buried under the sea as a result of pole displacement. Once they knew these maps existed, they also realized that knowledge could be stored somewhere else. But where? Recently, huge underground lakes were found a kilometer deep under the ice. The lake's temperature is 18 degrees Celsius. Located above the water surface are dome-like vaults filled with warm air. It's possible that from these heated lakes, a constant river of warm water flows into the ocean. For thousands of years, these warm rivers may have formed large underground ice tunnels, perfect for construction of sacred bases. From the ocean's edge, any submarine could easily pass under these coastal ice into the tunnels. Here it was, a complete base, immune from storms and polar cold, totally hidden from outsiders and out of the enemy's reach.
We determined to decide on the location for a secret base Others make secret zones that seem from the outside to be totally inaccessible. The polar zones, including Antarctica, would be a wholly suitable area to find this level of security.
According to witness testimony and other documents, the Nazis had in fact managed to create a top-secret Antarctic base. Its code name, the Base 211. At the start of 1939, regular trips were made between Antarctica and Germany in a specially equipped and modified research vessel named the Swabia. Mine constructing equipment and other machinery, including railroads, trucks, and giant panel building mills were transported to Queen Maud Island. At the same time, scientists, engineers, and highly skilled workers arrived. Why was Germany in need of such a remote base? There are various assumptions. Some believe that Germany wanted control of the southern seas. Others, that the Germans were attracted to vast Antarctic natural resources, such as uranium, which is essential for the creation of superweapons. That in case of defeat in the war, Antarctica would be a safe haven for the elite of the Third Reich. By 1942, transfer of inhabitants to New Swabia began, including scientists, engineers, members and representatives of the Nazi Party and German state. Certain secret industrial technologies were also transferred from Germany. Post-war, the Americans recruited German scientists to work in the United States, but were shocked to find thousands of highly qualified Third Reich specialists had vanished and were listed as dead. Over 100 submarines also vanished, never to be found.
It's clear that American intelligence obtained information concerning the fact that part of the Nazi legacy and its technical potential in terms of researchers and scientists had evacuated from Germany and at Haiti to the Antarctic polar zone became the center of their attention. There is also the testimony from German submariners who surrendered. The Argentine authorities, it seems, all this extremely alarmed the Americans.
At the end of 1946, the famous polar explorer and admiral of the US Navy, Richard Byrd, received the order to destroy the Nazi base in Antarctica. But things went wrong. The resistance met by the American squadron even now raises many questions. Admiral Byrd not only reported fighter jets with incredible capacities to Washington, he also discussed an attack on the expedition by strange flying saucers. They emerged from the water at high speed, causing heavy damage to the expedition. On February 26, 1947, a battle took place which is described by a member of the expedition, an experienced pilot called John Sagerson. They flew vertically out of the water in a fury, leaping between the masts of the ships with such speed that the airflow perturbed and dislodged the radio antenna. I didn't have time to blink an eye. The two corsairs from the Casablanca were slain by some kind of mysterious ray shot from the nose section of the flying saucers. They then dived into the water near the ships. At the time I was on the Casablanca's deck, and I saw it as you now see me. I didn't understand these objects were silent as they floated between ships, like a satanic beast, spitting deadly fire. Suddenly I saw the destroyer, Murdoch, which was about 120 feet away. The flames flashed and it began to sink. Despite the danger, rescue teams and lifeboats were immediately dispatched to the disaster site from other ships. That nightmare lasted about 20 minutes. When the saucers again dived under the water, we evaluated our losses. They were terrifying. Anarnobe's secret expeditions began a search for ancient relics and manuscripts around the world from Tibet to South America. Notably, they hunted for the Knights Templar archives, which contain indications they visited America long before Columbus. Apparently, the Templars owned secret manuscripts, similar to the map. It suggests they knew something vital about Antarctica. In the occupied territories, SS Special Commando units removed archives and libraries. The Anarnobe confiscated libraries of theological faculties and various secret societies as soon as space was allocated.
The Anarnobe, I collected a huge library. According to me, a librarian from one of the post-Gnostic libraries, in March 1945, he witnessed Soviet troops approaching German territory. the NRB were evacuating a library and carrying away 140,000 volumes. The library catalogue would be very interesting.
It's possible the NRB learned something incredible about Antarctica. They made the study of this continent one of the main Nazi leadership goals. Actually, the SS were after very specific knowledge. The Grail Cup, together with the Holy Spear, opens the way to world domination. Hitler became aware of this legend before World War I. The Spear of Destiny was safely kept in the Vienna Museum. Hitler possessed the spear in 1938, after Germany annexed Austria. In order to rule the world, he needed the Grail Cup to combine the legacy spear, symbol of the active male principle and the world's scientific knowledge, with the cup, symbol of the active female principle and the symbol of wisdom. This is the dominant idea which preoccupied the Third Reich's elite, to fuse the latest scientific achievements with centuries-old knowledge, even in the absence of a rational explanation. It could have been an attractive and productive idea, if it wasn't for the purpose the Nazis pursued: supreme reign over the world. To enslave it for the chosen race, utilizing occult knowledge and technology. For scientific research, the NRB employed elite staff, mainly world-famous scientists, and hundreds of employees from more than 50 university departments. The NRB engaged in the study of maths, astronomy, genetics, medicine, and the occult development of unconventional weapons, plus psychological and psychotropic methods of mass influence. They explored occult science, religious and mystical practices, exploring people's paranormal abilities.
The NRB were seriously engaged in this research. The factual evidence for this for the NRB directives by their management, which included Himmler before the war began in 1939, studies were carried out concerning the paranormal abilities of employees of the NRB, the results were recorded on personal files. When they were torture officers with these paranormal abilities, along with others who displayed paranormal skills, were merged into a single NRB department. Unfortunately, there are no records on what this department was working on, or more importantly, what the results were achieved.
One of the main objectives pursued by the NRB experts was the use of paranormal abilities to contact unknown beings, or outsiders as they call them. The aim was to obtain from highly developed extraterrestrial and ancient terrestrial civilizations superior technological knowledge. It had already occurred. December 1990. Secret Thule Society members, the Annenberry's predecessor, are gathered at the Alps foothills in a farmhouse near Birch's Garden. Among the selected were two experienced mediums, or contactees as we say today. One of them hides under the mysterious name of Sigrun. The other is Maria Orsic from Zagreb. She speaks of strange things in a trance state, from a civilization in the Taurus constellation. She receives incredible technical information. This knowledge shocked no one. On the contrary, it attracted huge interest, as it concerned the construction of an unusual flying vehicle, which could alter the flow of time around it. A step towards the dream of the secret society, a time machine penetrating deep into history, obtaining the knowledge of ancient high civilizations. Here you see the picture of an aircraft, with the signature of the world-famous German scientist and inventor, Victor Schellberger. This received knowledge passes to scientists for translation to clear technical data for engineering. By 1922, the first model had been built. The device had 3 parallel discs. When brought into motion, the upper and lower discs rotate in opposite directions, creating a very strong magnetic field and anti-gravity effect. If the evidence can be trusted, this design not only floats in the air, but warps the structure of time around it. It is believed this was the prototype